Hi, it's Sean with Allen Physiotherapy. I just wanted to talk really quickly a little bit about stretching. The idea of what is stretching, what are we trying to achieve, what's the goal? Because I use stretching in my treatment. It's important to know that with stretching, we're not necessarily changing extensibility of tissue. We may be lengthening the tissue, but it's not an immediate extensibility change. The idea of stretching is that we're taking it to a point, a muscle that's shortened to a point of discomfort. You hold that for any, and we'll talk about how long to hold it, but you hold it and you repeat that throughout the day. The idea that we're trying to change is that stretch pain threshold. When we stretch a muscle, we start to feel irritation in that muscle, and that's the brain telling us, hey, there's a potential danger. We can alter that sensation immediately by doing these static stretches, and over time, that threshold for that message diminishes, so you can get more range of motion. If we do that repetitively for a period of days, we start to say, the brain will say, and the muscle will say, hey, we need to improve this, so we need to make more units. The muscle is made up of these little stacking units, and it'll make more units to increase the length of the muscle. So with stretching, we're trying to increase length of the muscle and trying to change the pain threshold. So the idea of how do we stretch, how long do we stretch? So there's a couple ways of stretching, and I go into that in the clinic as different ways, but typically you can just do, if you're doing a static stretch, that's that holding stretch. You do that after activity, not before activity, and you can hold it for any chunk of time. So the research shows that as long as a stretch is 1 minute in total, so you can break it up into 10-second stretches, so 6 10-second bursts, or 2 30 seconds, or three 30 seconds, or one 1 minute, whatever's most comfortable for you. As long as it totals 1 minute in duration, and you do that 3 times a day, you'll see benefits to muscle flexibility or muscle lengthening over time. Again, it's 3 times a day minimum. And those are your minimums. The idea of doing, there's no set formula for stretches, and the idea of doing a stretch for muscle is changing that length, is the idea of changing the pain threshold. Okay. The other thing with stretching is there's some other ways that we can do that are a little more effective, but if we want to stretch or change extensibility of connective tissue, we have to hold those. Those are called passive prolonged stretches. So really you're looking at a 20-minute mild stretch daily. And I can go into that for specific areas in the clinic. It's important to note that when you get someone saying, hey, stretch out your IT band, you're not stretching the IT band. That's a connective tissue that does not stretch. So some of the other areas that we address are things like lower extremity muscles to improve that flexibility, to decrease stress on the back, because the lower extremity and the pelvis put stress on the back if there's an imbalance. So that's the goal that we want to try and achieve, is get some extensibility of those muscles so you don't have stress on the back. I hope that's not too confusing. The main point here is you can hold the stretch as long as you want, as long as they total 1 minute, and do those 3 times a day. Thanks again.